What is up, everybody? It's Coach Colton here at Columbus Martial Arts, but not really today. We're at my home kitchen. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was National Donut Day last week, so today we're going to do a donut bake-along with Coach, and we're donating all of those donuts to the local police officers in the community. The recipe that we're making today was posted over on our Facebook page for all of our students. So if you are making that recipe with me today, we're gonna get right to it in a second. Of course, if you're at home and you're making some other kind of donut, that's totally fine as well. We're opening up early tomorrow from 7 to 9. So on the way to work, you guys can drop off the donuts and we'll go and donate all those donuts over to the police department. Now, I know it's right at 2. If anyone is scrambling, that's absolutely okay. We're going to give it just a few minutes to make sure everybody's here. And we're also going to give you guys some time to go ahead and get out all of the materials and all of the ingredients that were listed in the recipe that was posted. So if you don't already have your ingredients and materials set out as listed, go ahead and get those things out. One thing I forgot to mention that we will need material-wise is, of course, some measuring cups to do the measuring for the ingredients. So grab a measuring cup or some measuring scoops as well. But hope you guys are doing well today. If you're watching live in the chat, give me a hashtag live. If you're watching later on, hashtag replay. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday today. The weather is awesome. Of course, can't have donuts without some coffee. So we're going to give it just a second and let everybody get on in here. I hope the audio quality is okay. My normal microphone is giving me some problems today, but we're going to be doing our live bake along today. Guys, a couple seconds to go and grab your stuff, get in baking aprons and stuff like that. I opted not for the martial arts uniform and just the shirt today. What is up, Mr. Judah? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we're going to pin the camera over and go over all of the ingredients and things just to make sure you guys have everything. If you're making the same recipe we're making, we're also going to get a little bit of better lighting going on here. So, a couple things that you're going to need if you don't have them out already. Whoa. Okay, whoa. Let's tighten that up there. It doesn't fall as much. There we go. So don't need the dog treats. Those wouldn't be too good in the donuts. So what do we have? We have baking powder. We need that. All-purpose flour. Sugar. Eggs. Ground cinnamon. Ground nutmeg. Vanilla extract. Butter. So that's all of our ingredients set out. As far as materials go, there aren't actual ingredients, but things we're going to need to manipulate those ingredients to the final product. First off, some kind of pan. The recipe calls for a donut pan. I could have sworn I had one, but I did not. So I'm going to use these small kind of muffin pans here. They're going to turn out tasting the same. They're just going to look a little different, but some kind of pan. Be careful though, the smaller that you're making them, if your pan is like this and it's smaller, it's going to cook more quickly because it has more surface area touching the pan percentage-wise. So the smaller they are, the faster they're going to cook. So if you're cooking with a very small pan, you might have to modify the cooking time a little bit on that. So you're going to need a pan for the final products, some measuring spoons or measuring cup. As I mentioned, this is the one thing that was not on the actual page. So go ahead and make sure you have some of those to measure. Some cooking spray, just kind of neutral, butter flavor or no flavor, olive oil. It shouldn't really make a big impact, but definitely don't want the donuts after you do all that hard work to stick into the pan. We're going to need 2 measuring bowls, one big and one small, to mix ingredients together. Small saucepan to heat up. I believe this is for the coating on the outside. Heat up some butter. And then serving spoon, whisk. So we got our materials, we have our ingredients, and we are good to go. If you have any questions along the way, just feel free to stop and ask. Good to see everybody today. We're going step by step as it's listed in the recipes. I made this recipe once before, so I had picked it, and it came out tasting pretty good. So I'm hopeful to recreate that today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to preheat our oven to 350 Fahrenheit. We're going to spray down our pan with non-stick spray. Go ahead and get that prepped. I do have 2 pans here since they're a little small, and that I might have enough yield to make two pans worth, but if not, that's okay. Hopefully you guys are at home making it extra so you guys can, taste test it, make sure it's not poisonous. Second thing we're gonna do after your pans are sprayed down and your oven is preheating, we're gonna get the large mixing bowl and we're gonna whisk together most of the dry ingredients. So we're gonna whisk together flour, sugar, baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt. I forgot to mention the salt. Most of us have salt, right? Okay, so we're gonna need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Go ahead and get your flour, start measuring that. Half a cup scoop, so we're just going to do 4 scoops to get 2 cups. 1, 2, and finish off this bag here. 3, and 4. And that last one was a little small, so we're just going to tap the rest of that in. We're going to call that 2 cups. Pretty exact. Okay. Also going to get the baking powder. Recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Over here. This is 2 teaspoons there. I'm going to get some 2 teaspoons. All of my writing on them, the ink is kind of worn off. 2 teaspoons, 1, 2, side, 1 1/2 cups of sugar, again, this will be another 4 scoops, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next up is going to be our cinnamon and nutmeg. It's 1 teaspoon of each. So 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, 1 teaspoon salt. Just about the cinnamon and nutmeg today, so we take the seals off of that really quick. Be careful with it. Sealed away. Okay, so that's our 1 teaspoon nutmeg. 1 teaspoon cinnamon. As we're going, if you guys have any questions, if you guys need me to slow down, feel free to write a question in the comment section here. I do have it pulled up where I can interact with the chat and see you guys. I hope you guys are doing great today. And also, if you're making something that's not this, let me know what you're making in the chat. Are you doing, a frosted donut or a powdered donut or something? There's chocolate lovers out there maybe doing something with chocolate today. I'm interested to know. So cinnamon, nutmeg, salt. Get the salt over here. And salt. There we go. Okay, so we have all of the dry ingredients in here. So now in here we have the 2 cups of flour, a cup and a half of sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, 1 teaspoon salt, and we're just going to whisk that together really quick and get that thoroughly combined. So this is all of our dry ingredients here. Some recipes, I think they consider sugar a wet ingredient, so sometimes sugar won't go in with the dry. And I noticed that in this recipe, we are mixing the sugar right in with the rest of the stuff we got going on here. Got some pumps in the sugar because that good old Georgia humidity. Make sure all those clumps are out of there. That everything's nice and kind of just cohesive. If you had a sieve, you could sieve it, but don't think it's going to be that crazy. Make sure any of the big clumps you might have in the flour or the sugar are dispersed, and then the salt, nutmeg, and everything are clumped up together. They're nice and distributed. I think we are good. Okay, go crazy on that. After that's mixed together, we're going to whisk in our egg, milk, vanilla, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. So we have 1 egg, and when you're working with the egg, you just want to crack it. If you're not sure, if you're new to cracking egg, what I'd suggest is number 1, cracking it on a flat surface like this, not going for like the edge of the countertop. And then if you're really worried, you can grab something small like a second bowl and crack that egg into the bowl first. That way you can make sure if you're retrieving any of those shell fragments, and you don't go right into the bowl here, because if you go right into the bowl, then you might have to dig it out. You might not even see it because the eggshell's white. This mixture is pretty light in color too. It might blend in, and then somebody's going to get eggshell in their donut, which is no bueno. Of course, if your parents are doing this, or if you're an elite black belt baker, you can just go right into the bowl, no problem, just like that. Okay, we are going to need to melt 2 tablespoons of butter. You can do that on the stove top or in the microwave really quick. I think I'm going to do this one in the micro. We will need the saucepan still for butter later because we're actually going to be dipping in there. And I think having the wide opening in the saucepan, there's our oven preheated. Forgot to do that. Make sure it's preheating to 350 so you don't have to wait for it later. But we're going to need the wide opening in the saucepan, I think, to make dipping the donuts a little bit easier. Now, of course, most butter just has the little measurements on the side. There we go. And you're just going to cut 2 tablespoons into a bowl, throw it in the microwave. Probably won't even take a minute. I'd go 30 seconds or so, check it. Need some more time, you can give it some more time, but 2 tablespoons butter in the bowl, in the micro, 30 seconds. Okay, that extra bit off there. Eggs are already in the mixture. It also wants our milk and vanilla. Milk and vanilla. Oh, milk is in the recipe. Okay, forgot to show that in the beginning, guys. Go ahead and pull that jug of milk out. It is in the recipe. I just guess I didn't see it earlier when I was pulling everything out. So we've got our milk out, and it wants us to do 1.25 cups of milk. So that's going to be 2.5 of these scoops here. 2.5. Okay, milk's good. Vanilla. 2 teaspoons vanilla extract. Just some powerful stuff. Got the vanilla extract little bottle in here. I'll start to buy a brand new one of these. So we were out. All we had was mint. And I did not see mint extract being a great substitute for vanilla extract. Okay, good to see you, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Perfect. 2 teaspoons, so 2 of these. We got 1, 2. Perfect. I'm gonna check our butter situation. How is it? 30 seconds, it's pretty good. It's basically done. Okay, so melted butter, 2 tablespoons in. There we go. So now I have the egg, milk, vanilla, and butter in, and now we have the wet done, we have the dry already mixed, and we're just going to combine together now. So let's go ahead and start whisking that all together just until it kind of comes into a smooth batter. Again, no clumps. Gonna feel like it's maybe not together. You're gonna have some of the dry ingredients try to stick in the side. You might have some in the whisk. You just tap, free that up, and move that into the mixture as well. As everything begins to hydrate, that batter will thicken up and start to form. Just be patient. Luckily, this is a batter and not a dough. Dough, it's always very frustrating when you have to whisk it because it gets clogged up in the whisk and you have to keep constantly tapping. Something wet like this is a lot more satisfying to whisk it together. It already smells really good. You can smell that cinnamon, that nutmeg. Kind of smells like gingerbread cookies or, what is that, carrot cake a little bit. But anytime I'm mixing dough, I tend to do it either by hand or like with that chocolate peanut butter pie we did for Pie Day. I used the chopstick because, it's much easier to clean up. This is looking pretty good. Just check the sides. Make sure you run your whisk along the bottom so there's no dry clumps hiding from you that you can't see. Make sure everybody's part of the party here. Okay. And I think we're good. So you can see that. There's my frame here. There it is. Everything is pretty cohesive. Run the whisk through. It's nice. No clumps in the whisk. Looking good there. We're good to go. Okay. So everything is whisked together. Now we're going to spoon the batter into the pans. Each slot in the pan, no more than 3/4 full, because it's going to expand a bit as you cook. And it's going to taste great either way, but I'm sure that you guys don't want to clean up more than you have to on a Sunday. Sundays are meant for relaxing, right? It's a rest day. So we're going to follow directions. We're going to just fill the pan. All the slots in your donut pan or whatever sheet you're using, no more than 3/4 full. So like I said, I'm using this small little muffin pan. So we're going to spoon it into that. This is where you would use that large serving spoon that you have set out. So one like this. Now, I think I'm actually going to opt for a smaller spoon because my molds are so small. But if you're using like a true donut size mold, something like this will work great because you're going to scoop approximately the amount of batter that you would need in each scoop to fill that and then re-scoop and then re-scoop. But I think this one is just going to be a little much. So I'm going to go maybe, actually, I don't know. Let's try the serving spoon. Maybe we can just like use one spoonful for multiple. Just kind of pocket of flour that was hiding from us. Let's go ahead and make sure we're good here. Good here. There we go. All right. So we got whisk overboard. Got the batter here. Just going to raise up the pan like so the batter doesn't have to travel as far. Also, it would be great with this if you have like a spouted measuring cup, something that's like easy to pour. This would work great too. That was probably a little bit too much, 3/4 of the way. We'll do it. Good. These are kind of fluted, so the bottoms are smaller than the tops. So it looks like I'm not quite leaving 3/4 of the way. I think I'll be good, but I really do want to leave enough space for that to expand. That's a good one. And then if you're not being super precise and you see how like my pan's a little messy on top, you could absolutely, just want to throw it in the oven as is. And once it, bakes, that part's going to turn crispy and it's not going to attach. It's going to separate just fine. Especially if you spray at the top of the pan as well and not just the slots. But if you want it to look good as it goes in the oven and come out of the oven and maybe you're taking pictures and stuff, go ahead and clean that up now with a paper towel or something like that, and you won't even have to fuss with it later on. I think I'm going to clean up my own paper towel just so it looks nice to have it together. How's everybody doing so far? Everybody doing good out there? Okay, and one, good to go. Grabbing pen numero dos. And of course, if you want to modify this recipe and make it a vanilla donut or a chocolate donut, you could absolutely just change out that nutmeg and that cinnamon for like some cocoa powder or some different extract flavors. I usually leave that vanilla extract just because it does really good to contrast certain flavors. Like if you're doing a chocolate donut, or maybe even a coffee flavored donut, just to go with like a baked cake kind of donut here, just because, a lot of donuts, they're Krispy Kreme donut, the yeasted donut, those are fried, right? I don't want anyone to have to deal with like vats of oil and stuff today. Look at it sneeze. Small sword. As it nears the bottom, it might be a little hard to scoop and get enough, so modifier technique here. Just scoops nice and easy. So you can also kind of scrape the bottom of that spoon against the bowl, minimize the messiness. Looks of it, I think I'm going to have a decent amount of batter left over. That one's definitely a little more than 3/4 of the way. Okay, I'm telling you about it. All right, so what I'm going to do, take a paper towel. I'm just going to clean up my pans a little bit because it is a batter, it's pretty wet, so the paper towel should soak it up, and that will make it so I don't have to deal with as much cleanup when I'm getting out of the pan. There we go. Much better. Not perfect, but it'll be a lot easier to get out of there. Also just going to tap it a little bit, just a bit. Make sure there's no huge air bubbles in there, just in case. I do see a few pieces here and there. My butter didn't melt all the way, but I think that's going to be just fine. Obviously, as it comes out of the tin, that butter's going to melt. It'll be just fine. Okay. Again, a tap. Good. Wash the hands there. So both my muffin tins are full. They both have 12 in there, so I've got 2 dozen. I have a decent amount of batter left over just because mine are pretty small. So what I'm going to do is I have a small loaf pan. We're going to do a little experiment. And I'm just going to pour the rest of this into let's spray that first just in case. Let's have a small loaf pan here. We're just going to spray the rest of that batter in here. We're going to make like a little cinnamon donut loaf. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but that's the fun of cooking sometimes. You're going to experiment a bit. Much like the donuts, I'm going to leave a little bit extra left, but we've got 3/4 of the way full. Just going to tap that out a bit. Good. Okay. That's done. So in the pan, 3/4 full. Once they're all filled, we're going to throw it in the oven for 17 minutes or until a toothpick exits clearly. And that's important based on the size of your pan. It might not take 17 minutes. I think mine are going to be done before 17 minutes because they're so small, right? So just keep an eye on it. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to throw this in the oven and use this as a great time to start cleaning up all the things that we don't need anymore. We do need a little bit for the cinnamon sugar coating at the end. So I'm not going to get rid of everything, but for that, we just need butter, sugar, cinnamon, and that's it. So everything else, while we throw these in the oven, we can get rid of. So let's go ahead, get these in, start our cleanup process. This is like my pet peeve, I do not want to rest or relax until everything is done. Let's see here. They're so small. Going through the lines in my grill of my oven. So I think I'm going to go at a diagonal. It's just a little weird. That'll help it sit nice and pretty without getting snagged in any grooves on the way out. So I'm just going to lay these pans at a diagonal here. Very careful, of course, and then that loaf pan is going to chill here on the side. Nice. But yeah, I don't want to relax and eat anything until I have a clean kitchen, because I know after I eat, that wave of lethargy is going to hit me, and I'm not going to want to move. So we're going to go ahead and get this kitchen clean really quick, clean it up. I will start a timer just in case. If you are using a standard sized donut pan at home, go ahead and start that 17-minute timer. That'll give you a good roundabout. So we're going to get rid of the flour, baking powder, eggs, vanilla. You just need sugar, cinnamon, butter. Sounds healthy, right? Just sugar, cinnamon, butter. Okay. Nutmeg, eggs. I was just thinking, if you didn't have enough sugar in your pantry to do the sugar in the donuts and the sugar in the finish, another great way, maybe not with the finish because it'd be really sticky, but another great way you can sweeten the batter that we just made, because it is a liquid batter. Instead of using granulated sugar, you could use maple syrup. It would be a great alternative. And I'm sure you could sweeten it with many other things as well, but just, for brown sugary things and for cinnamon things, maple sugar is always that great kind of companion. Once the butter refuses, we'll go back on the packaging. There. More eggs. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Get rid of this big bowl. Washed. What is up, Mr. Dorian? Good to see you, sir. Put that in just a bit. More precise than last time. Okay, now for the dip, that's where the saucepan is going to come in. In that saucepan, we're going to melt 8 tablespoons of butter. Again, but the sticks of butter have the markings on the side. Just use that for reference. It looks like a whole tablespoon is a whole stick is 8 tablespoons precisely. So if you just want to throw a whole stick in there, then leave whatever partial you have left, you can, or if you use the partial and then start another one, you can do that too. 8 tablespoons in, and we're just going to throw that on a low heat where that can start melting. Doesn't take much. You're not trying to cook it or cook the donuts in it at all. It's just going to be used to make the donuts kind of tacky or sticky at the end so that the cinnamon sugar mixture will stick to it, right? So it doesn't have to be scorching hot. Then we're going to combine sugar and cinnamon. So we're going to do, how much cinnamon? We're going to do 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and a half cup of sugar, I believe. Check that really quick, make sure I'm right on that. Remaining cinnamon. Yeah, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and half cup sugar. In a bowl. Got our cinnamon here. Since I have our 1 teaspoon there. And then sugar. Sugar. Sugar, we only need half, so that's going to be 1 scoop here. And of course, if you wanted more coating, you could do more, same ratio. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon per half cup of sugar, may be just fine. You coat the whole thing. Look at the recipe, it says to dip them. You're going to dip the top part, kind of like a frosted donut from like Dunkin' or something has that dip on the top. But if you wanted to, have the whole thing covered, you could do that too. You would just, make a little bit more of this. We don't watch the whisk up. Well, you don't really need to whisk it, do. It's just cinnamon and sugar. So I'm grabbing my utility chopstick. Just that really quick. So I'm going to check those small muffin pans, probably more than the 12-minute mark, because they're very small. And then that big loaf pan, that might even go longer than 17. So keep a toothpick on hand. That color change, very satisfying. So the cinnamon mixing with the sugar turns this like beautiful kind of reddish color. It's the nose, and it's like instantly apple pie, Thanksgiving vibes. Okay, it's pretty good mix. I'm gonna keep my sugar and cinnamon out just because I might need more, but I don't think I will. That seems like a pretty good amount. So that's good for the donuts when they are done. And then if I do have any extra, I'll probably just get the loaf out of the loaf pan and then kind of tap that over the top of the I don't know, what would you call it, donut cake? It would help if I had my butter on the correct eye. Make sure you put your hand on the right thing. Right eye and stuff. Okay. Let's see. First batch, 16 minutes, too crispy. Yes, I think that's due to just different pan sizes. I'm using a muffin pan that's super small, and I think mine are going to be way done before that. I start checking at the 10-minute mark. I thought I had a donut pan. I should have checked before I went to the grocery store this morning for supplies, because I knew I was going to have to get the nutmeg and the cinnamon and stuff. Okay, that's melting now. That's fantastic. And then just add those toothpicks. Where did we set those toothpicks at? Maybe over here. Do some searching really quick. Can't find them. So I guess we're just going to use our heads. And we're going to use some precise measuring tools. We're going to use some intuition here. So right now, you just have the butter melting. I have the timer going for the donuts. Just keeping an eye on that stuff there. And yeah, we are good. Quickly. Oh yeah, they're expanding a lot. I can definitely see where I left some of those above the 3/4 mark. They're kind of exploding and might be more like cinnamon muffins because they're going to have like a top to them. So hopefully you guys did a better job than me at the 3/4 full. So we are almost at the 10-minute mark. As checked mine, they definitely need some more time. 7 minutes left on the timer. This is going, this is going. Hopefully you guys in the chat are going great. Making donuts with tofu, that's interesting. That is very interesting. I haven't had too many experiences using tofu. I'm trying to think if I've ever even eaten tofu before. I must have. I think I've eaten tofu. I know tofu is like in hot and sour soup sometimes, but I'm not sure if I've ever eaten tofu too much. What's up, Mr. Jason? Hope you're doing an awesome job today, sir. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Turn the oven light on, so I keep opening up the oven and letting all the heat out of there. But yeah, we're gonna open early tomorrow, guys, 7 a.m. So anytime between 7 and 9, you guys can come by, drop what you made off, and then of course we'll have the gold stars up there as well. And then this week is weigh-in week for the tournament, which I'm super pumped about. So we'll be weighing in students all week long, and tournaments next Saturday, Monday. Well, when I get in, the full sign-up list will be done, and I will be sending out messages to everybody on the app as far as what time you need to show up for the tournament. Have the sign-ups closed, and we know definitively how many students who are competing. We can very quickly, separate those into groups and give everyone a good idea of when they need to arrive. And that just helps our tournaments run so much smoother. You go to a big tournament in Atlanta or someplace else, and you're stuck around sitting all day. You never quite know where. They'll usually have like an estimated time, but then should I say arrive 2 hours early, but then they'll be running late, and then you're just there for like 4 or 5 hours, and it makes it a fairly miserable experience beyond just the competition itself. So last time we did a very good job. I think we ended maybe 20 minutes past time, which means, at most people were waiting, 10, 15 minutes for their matches. We got everyone in within that hour time span we have them scheduled for. So it should take no more than an hour next Saturday to have you start and end of your matches. And I'll be pumped. Make sure that day you guys eat a good breakfast, something healthy, not donuts, something with that's not too heavy on your stomach. I think like cereal, a bagel, oatmeal, some fresh fruit would be great. Something that's going to give you some pep in your step but not weigh you down. I want to go for like a full English or like super, tons of bacon, tons of sausage and stuff like that. Something just plain super straightforward. Not sure how good at baking we are, but Layla is having a blast making them. Awesome. makes them really moist. Well, that's good. That's what you want in the texture, right? Everyone hates things that are baked and like dry, right? When I think of one of the worst things, I think of like dry cornbread, right? And I love cornbread, but it's so easy just for it to turn to sawdust right away. So I'm looking at using tofu. I just used, I wanted to make some cookies. This was about a month ago, and we didn't have any. Was it butter? I think it was butter. We didn't have any butter. Apparently, you can substitute applesauce for butters and butter and chocolate chip cookies. So I used applesauce instead, and the cookies came out bomb.com. But yeah, I'm not a black belt in baking either. I love to cook, but my sister is the master baker in the family. So we will see how we do today. Now my butter is just about fully melted. There it is. So we're going to turn that off. We don't want to leave that on the heat, guys. So if your butter is still over there melting, make sure you take that off. It's not going to re-solidify on you. So once it gets melty, we're just going to take it off the heat and leave it in the pan. So we kind of dip the donut in the butter, dip the donut in the what's the word? Cinnamon sugar, and then it'll be good to go. If you guys want to go full coverage, I would not submerge the donut in the melted butter. We're not going, full Paula Deen today. We're just going to, not sure if that used to be kind of a funny joke because there's always so much butter with recipes. But don't fully submerge it. I maybe use some tongs or use some chopsticks or something and just kind of roll it in the butter. Then you kind of shake it in the powdered sugar and get it that full coverage. Let's check on them really quick. Oh yeah, that's looking a lot better. I think I'm gonna pull mine. I get 30 seconds more, so I'm taking mine out at the 15-minute mark. I'm gonna leave the loaf pan for a little bit longer, and these guys need to cool down before we roll them because they're gonna be too hot to handle. So that'll give you a little bit of time to clean the top of the pan if there's any crispy bits on there and that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna take mine out. And mine need to cool, so I'm not going to leave you guys behind if you're still waiting on yours to cook, especially if you're using a bigger donut pan. Yours probably won't be ready quite yet. Every oven is a little different. Looking at the top, you can kind of tell that mine are just about at that point. I might use that chopstick to test them. It's not as thin as a toothpick. Let's see, this one over here, big one to test. Want it to come out clean. And that's looking pretty clean. It's looking pretty clean to me. Stuck on the bottom a little bit. By the time it continues to cool down and cook in the pan, we're going to be good. So, what I'm looking here, I'm going to bring one of these over and kind of show you guys why I thought it was done, just in case you don't have a toothpick to look. Okay, let's look at these really quick. All right. So here, I kind of over baked mine in the sense, not overcooked it, but over just, filled the tray. So you can see there's a bit of, plumage coming out of the top of the pan. So it's expanded. I'm going to have to cut them a little bit where they're connected. Like you can see this one right here is connected to the one next to it. So I'm just going to run a butter knife through this, separate them, make sure that those are free. And then I'll be able to take it out. When I saw the bubbles begin to form on the top and the tops begin to look dry, that told me they were ready to go. If it's looking very wet, definitely not a good time. If there are no bubbles at all, probably not a good time either. But something like that should be a good indicator. If you do have that toothpick handy, which I do not know, I cleaned the whole kitchen. I guess I got rid of mine. I just made some roll out, some stuffed chicken breast where I used the toothpicks to hold them together. I thought, great, I already have toothpicks for donuts this weekend, and now I can't find them. So cancel that timer. 3, 2, 1. That would have been the 17-minute mark right there. I'm just going to let these guys cool down for a bit. I'm going to grab my butter knife and begin to separate the ones that seem stuck. I'll show you how to get these out of the pan too. Do not try and pry these out. If you sprayed them well, you should be able to just grab a plate or a cookie sheet if your pan's a bit of a bigger pan and a cookie sheet's not going to be big, or a plate's not going to be big enough, and you should be able to just tap them right out of the pan. Okay, so those are separated over there. I'm up very soft. Nothing at pulling too early. Usually a sharper side of butter knife, but butter knives are particularly sharp. Okay. Once you run it long ways, you can short ways, different rows and columns. Okay. So that's all good. We're going to dive back into the oven so I don't forget the loaf. Let's see how that's doing. Oh yeah, that's looking good. I'm going to give that, let's say 2 more minutes on it. 2 more minutes on it. I know it's the stream is going to be 2 to 4 today. I do not expect it lasting the full 2 hours, obviously, as the bake is pretty much done. Now we just have to coat the donuts. We'll start that in just a few minutes. Just going to make sure they're a little bit more cool before we start trying to tap them out. I gave it 2 hours just in case we went over a little bit. I didn't want anyone to schedule something and then we're going to run late because of the baking stream. So I think we're going to be done probably before 3:30. My hands are a little long. I'm going to grab a baking sheet to tap mine out onto. Let's use. I'm actually going to use this glass tray because I think it'll help. It's clearly, you guys see it a bit more in action. What's going on? Set the little coffee cup here. Okay, all right, these guys. Feeling definitely cooler. I can hold on to the pan and it's not burning me at all. It's still warm, not quite room temp. So because this is this rate well, I should be able to turn this guy over here and then just kind of tap the pan gently. I'm gonna use this to tap a little bit. You also just hold on to the edge of the pan and then tap. There's the 2 minutes below. You can also just hold the pan and tap it against that we have underneath it. It's a bit of a gentler approach. We'll see how this goes. Nothing came out yet. Okay. Just try. Shake. Oh no, nothing's coming out. Let me pull that loaf out very quick. Oh yeah. Actually, I'm gonna let loaf go. Loaves look good on the edges once I touched it. Just jiggling it up. 2 more minutes. This guy isn't coming out, which I was afraid of. It's just a smaller pan, you know. Alright. Honestly, guys, I might just throw mine back into it. It's very soft. Let's check this out real quick. I'm going to pull one for quality control purposes. So I just scoop this one out. Okay, well, no, it looks pretty soft. It's pretty cake-like. I'm not mad with that consistency. Run a butter knife around the edges. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. They don't look great. This isn't going to win any award shows. Let me get you guys close up on this. So this, Blake is super ready to make some donuts. Awesome. So this is done. I like the consistency. It's definitely still very moist. It's very sponge to the touch. So I think this is going to taste great. But let's be honest, if we look at it, it's not winning any beauty contest. But I think I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do, the only thing about this is when it is super moist, it is a very fragile cake, guys. So be careful during the dusting process when we do the powdered sugar and stuff. You're gonna have to be careful that the cakes don't fall apart on you. Now, as this continues to cool, especially since we're not turning them until tomorrow, it's gonna honestly dry out a little bit overnight, which isn't a bad thing. When it is already this moist, when it's a little overly moist, it'll help because it'll continue to dry out, a little sturdier, and also, it will there's over 2 minutes for the loaf, and it will just hold up better. It won't fall apart in the hand. So I'm going to have to retrieve mine out one at a time, but if you're able to tap them out, that's just okay. I'm going to lay them in this sheet here and check the loaf really quick. How are we doing, Mr. Loaf? Still wet. Okay, still wet in the center. So I'll come back to him in another 2 minutes. I'm going to begin the process. Running my knife along. If this happened to you too at home, there's no problems with this at all. I was just hopefully, trying to save us the headache of prying each one out individually. Just take your butter knife and begin to work them out. Kind of take the tip of my knife and push against them gently to see if they're released from the sides of the pan. Once we do that all the way around, just take the tip, go on the bottom, and then pop them out through the top here. Go. 2. The top edges are going to be the crispiest part. So often those top outside edges will be the main thing that's holding it to the pan. So just, be patient. Use the tip of your knife, dislodge those edges first. And the rest of the cake should come out just fine from the pan, just like that. Okay. Very good. Got one stuck on the side there. That's what I'm going to do with that. If one does come out a little disgruntled, quality control. Out of the basin. You don't want to poison any police officers, guys. That was very satisfying. Just released fully from that side there. I'm not sure if you guys saw that or not. And it looks like the edges are good. Attacking this side, it seems a little bit stubborn. It didn't release as much as the other side. Straight down, underneath. Once you start to pry it out, make sure you follow the edge of the pan there. You don't want to go straight down at an angle because you're going to obviously cut into the cake. So just run it along the edges first. Free up the crispy edges. And then all the sides there. Noise. That's probably the cleanest one yet. Let me know in the comments how this process was. Did you guys get it out in the first try? Did the tappy tap work for you guys? I was hoping with the baking spray, but that one came out great, that it would be rather easy. It might have been a goofball and overfilled my pans. I got a little overzealous. I saw how much batter was there, and I was thinking, it's way more batter than what's going to fit on my pans. And I hate wasting food. I think I just filled mine up a bit too much. I'm sure you guys can hear the dog going crazy outside. Okay. Also got very crisp on the edge. This is taking a long time, I know, so I'm not going to sit here and do the whole other pan as well. You guys get the idea on how to free these, and of course, if you're using a super small muffin pan like I did, you're probably already done fixing yours. So I'm going to show the the frosting process. Pull out that. Oh, there we go. That's looking much better. There we go. Good there. Okay. So yeah, after what I was saying was after I finish this last one, we're going to go right into the process of dusting them. I'm going to use a little bit of a different process, so that if you think mine are still very fragile, need some time to kind of dry out and get a little bit more structurally stable. Pull other pan and stuff. Make sure when you're done, you turn that oven off. Okay, so we've gotten some muffin donuts free. Got stuck on some? Yeah, I did too. You guys aren't the only one. Don't worry. You know, I'm happy with these. I know they're going to taste great. I'm not too upset about how they look. You know, I know they say you eat first with your eyes, but, you know, they're donuts. We're going to still get plenty of love, I promise. Now, for the finishing process, we have a couple components, right? We had that melted butter we melted on the stove earlier in the saucepan, or if you had a big enough bowl, you can go in the microwave too, as long as you can, get in there and access it, right? And then this is half cup sugar, teaspoon cinnamon, and you could increase that as needed. Well, just one whole stick butter. I'm not sure I'll need that entire thing. Now, normally we take one. Let's do that very first one, I guess. Normally, we're just going to take the top of the donut. We're going to dip it into the butter. And then from the butter, we're just going to dip it into the sugar. And that's going to help. You can roll it around a little bit if you want. And that's going to help. Hopefully, you guys can see this. They just get nice and coated in that. Oh, that's a great shot there. Nice and coated in that cinnamon sugar topping. And once we're done with that, we're done with the recipe. Now, I already feel in that first one that it was going to be a little fragile. So I'm going to be extra careful doing mine, but go as slow or as fast as you think you can, holding on to the bottom and dipping that top in, rolling the top in the sugar. I did find on that first one that it is kind of like you move it around in there kind of process, because when I just kind of tapped it, just kind of dipped it in, I didn't see a lot stick. So I think it's a dip here and then more of a roll over here, to give you that good coverage on the top. Just a dip. Not really trying to get the flavor of butter, we're just trying to get those adhesive qualities of the butter. And then as my sugar accumulates on the sides, I think I'll give my bowl a shake every now and then, just to bring all that cinnamon sugar sediment back to the middle of the bowl. Of course, as you dip it in the butter as well, that butter is, liquid. So if it is very soft like mine, be careful. That's what it's going to be. Well, you don't want any donuts to fall. It's like dipping a chip into the salsa bowl and having it break, right? No donuts left behind today. Continue that process. Dip. Roll. Shake. Done. Okay. Can't wait to see everyone's donuts tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we're opening up early 7 to 9. Anyone? I'm sure you guys outclassed me, especially if you had the actual proper donut pan. On the look of them. Last time I was really impressed. We had people, we had like chocolate pies, we had fruit pies, we even had a couple savory pies, I think, one or two, like chicken pot pies and stuff. We had a shepherd's pie. We had cake pops. We had cakes. I guess people were more team cake than team pie. This one's very soft. Be careful with that one. Ooh. That one's self-destructing on me, I think. Obviously, handling is a lot with my hands. I've washed my hands multiple times just in case anybody's wondering about that. I keep washing my hands in between just because they are so soft. And I feel them making my hands tacky, a little sticky probably from the sugar content. And I just don't want that cake to stick to my hands when I'm trying to move it around and coming off with like a fourth of the donut in my hand. To release just nice. So I keep washing my hands in some cold water. Whoa. Good. We'll roll around in the old sugar. This was another one. Took a little bit of the bottom on that one. Yeah, doing this with tongs would probably be impossible just based on how delicate these came out. Hands would definitely be the ways to go. Unless yours cooked for a bit longer, if you're not a bit more sturdy. But hey, that's the finished product right there. Let's get a close-up in on that. So, a little rough around the edges, literally, but look at that sugar, cinnamon on the top. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be great. What I'm going to do is probably put those in like muffin pan. I actually have some disposable muffin pans, so the presentation looks good, but that's the stuff. And then I had another pan come out that I've still got to separate. And dress a little bit. I'm thinking I might throw these back in the oven just for a minute or two. And then my oven is off now, but just to see if that makes a difference. I'm gonna do experimentation on myself. And this is still hot. This was all the extra batter I had after filling out those 2 dozen mini muffins. Have this loaf, which seems a bit good. Let's go ahead and cut this out on screen and see how this came out. I'm interested. And after this, I'll end the stream and let you guys go. Enjoy the last touches on your own. Spend some time with your families this Sunday. Hopefully, like I said, you guys made some extra for yourselves. So we're going to move that up there. So still, it is a little warm. I'm just going to run the knife. It's parting though. It's getting away pretty good. Seems very soft. Crispy on the edge. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, I'm not sure about this one. Based on what the tip of the knife is telling my fingers going up to my brain. Bad feeling. This needs to go back in a little bit. I covered some foil since it seems good on the top. It needs to go back. Have some more oven time. Watch it. Watch it. Still a bit too hot to take out of the pan. So when let's do this thing, go ahead and separate it from the sides to help cooling off process. But hey guys, cinnamon cake donuts / donut muffin things. I hope you guys had a great time tuning in today. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow and anything that you guys made. We get a little bit lower. Anything you guys made, whether it was chocolate, cinnamon, vanilla, some kind of fruit stuff. I know I have some truly gifted bakers out there. I think we're taking the time out of Sunday to come and hang out with Coach Colton and bake some donuts for the community. I know that the police officers are going to be very appreciative, and hopefully, just like I was able to get some photos of different firemen and some of their testimony, just saying how thankful they were. I'm pretty sure that the police officers are going to have the same reception for the donuts. Other than that, we have a lot of stuff going on. Next weekend, we have our tournament, as I mentioned earlier, and then right after tournament is belt testing and promotions. So, got a lot of things going on this month. June is action-packed, trying to squeeze everything in before the July 4th break, because I know many of us travel around that time. So we're proud of you guys at home. Keep up the hard work at home and on the mats. I'll see you guys in class soon. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.